Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. I'm going to do another live stream. I think I'll be going for give or take about an hour, but I guess you can see that if you're watching after the fact. If you are watching at this time, please do come and say hello. Just give me a little bit of warmth and company. We'll hopefully that will happen. One or two people will pop in. Hopefully, I should probably do an audio check, which I forgot to do. Let's see if I can do that now. What am I going to do? I'm just going to read through about 10 articles. Let's put my audio on. That will be handy. About 10 articles. Come on. What's going on with my sound? Don't know why my sound isn't working. That's odd. But I think in all likelihood, the live stream is perfectly fine. So I'll just ignore that. I'm going to go through about 10 articles. I've pre-prepared all of them to some degree. And we'll see if they're worthwhile. Some of them will be harrowing. It includes torture of children. It includes a dog attack on a child. It includes a school shooting. A couple of murders. So pretty grim, pretty dark stuff. You can check out my Twitter feed if you like. The handle is at True Crime Updat, UPDAT. Hey Donna, thanks for joining. You're here right on time. I'll give you this. It's 2 minutes late, but that's fine. It's not a problem. About to go through about 10 articles. And they are all, of course, pretty grim. I don't have any chirpy ones at the end to cheer people up. So at the end, we shall just close the book and go away and call it a night. I think that's what's going to happen there, Donna. I hope you've had a nice day and a nice evening. And let's see if we can make you a little bit depressed and bring you down to tears. That's the aim for the next 10 articles. So first of all, we're going to watch a video to get us in the mood. I'll give you a bit of an overview of the situation. This is a guy who's an ex-gangbanger, and he's now an anti-gun activist, or rather he was an anti-gun activist, and he's been shot by police, and we're going to watch the video. So I'll give you a trigger warning for this article as well as the others. In this article and the video that we're about to watch, we're going to see this man shot multiple times by police officers, or officer singular, more than a dozen times. He dies at the scene. So a trigger warning there. And I guess one of the questions is the shooting from the police justified? The short answer is yes. And the reason for that is because he had a knife and he was attacking a woman, and he put the knife to the woman's face. He was threatening to kill her. So the officer shot him multiple times, in my mind, did the right thing. And that's what happened. So the guy's name, the knifeman's name, is Tyler Moorhead, 46 years of age, and he's an ex-gangbanger. More recently, he's become an anti-gun activist, but he thought it would be a good idea to attack a woman with a knife, and the situation didn't quite work out for him. So we're going to watch this video. Oh, actually, we want the audio for this. Why isn't my audio working? What is going on there? I don't know why, and I don't think I'll be able to fix it. So I'm going to play this without the audio. November the 6th, this happened. One officer at Rutherford. So he's driving up to the scene at speed. It's a shame the audio is not working. I don't know why.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Send more units! Send more units! Sir, drop the knife! Drop the knife! Sir, drop the knife! Hey, back up! Back up! Sir, drop the knife! Hey, turn around! We need a crime scene. Hurry up! Get the hey, drop the knife! Drop the knife! Sir, drop the knife! Drop the knife! Drop the. Don't move! Don't move! Ma'am, are you okay? Don't move! Sir, don't move! Hey, back up! Back up!
Wow. I hadn't actually watched all of it.
Hey, some more units! Some more units! More units! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Yeah, I want to say very threatening. Good call. Only call, I reckon. Yeah, I agree with that. Why isn't your thing? There we go. I believe it's just the one officer that's shooting. This officer, Rutherford. I counted 11 gunshots and then a slight pause and then one more. And then he immediately reloads. It's quite incredible that the knifeman still, after being pumped by 12 bullets at point blank range, he's still got his hand on the knife. Yeah, so many shots, but I guess we can. I mean, this is at the beginning. The girl's on the ground already, and look. There's the knife right at her face, and he jumped on top of her. Like, what the f was going to go on? And what's this other guy doing? I presume the other guy is an innocent bystander. He seems pretty casual. The knife's still in the guy's hand. He's just been shot 12 times, point blank. I mean, perhaps some of the bullets missed. Dude, why don't you just drop the knife? Yeah, so there we go. I tend to err on the side of favoring the officers. In this type of case, the ones that I've looked at, I think almost all of them, not quite all of them, but the majority of them, I err on the side of the officers. The officers, they're not doing this for fun. They don't wake up in the morning, oh, I really hope I get to kill someone today. That's not what they're in it for. That's my take on it. This guy did the right thing. He saw this the knifeman jump on top of this woman who was already knocked on the ground by the look of it, and he's got a knife to her face. I mean, I don't know. If you play with fire, you get burned. The guy deserved. The woman deserved to be saved, and the guy deserved to have an interaction with the police, and the interaction was with deadly force. Rightly so, if you ask me. So many shots, though. Yes, around 12 shots. I think I counted 11 plus 1, 12 shots. But he was still holding the knife, wasn't he? And even after that, the officer still has to shout and scream, "Drop the knife! Drop the knife!" I can see how it's still a danger to the officer that he has a knife in his hands. He could throw that knife at the officer. Um, I guess there's a slimmer potential that he could get up and start chasing um, the officer. Yeah, this is amazing to see how scary it is. Amazing to see, body cam footage and the camera quality of body cams, or the visual quality, the resolution of body cams, doorbell cams, dash cams, CCTV cams. I mean, they're such high quality. Uh, it's quite incredible, really. So the guy is the knife man. This guy here, no shoot zone. He's an ex-gang member, and apparently he used graffiti to designate no shoot zones to discourage gun violence. So he was an activist, um, promoting the non-use of guns. Bit ironic. Don't use guns, but it's okay to have a big effing knife and jump on women, put a knife to their face. He was shot a little while back in August, to the face, to the jaw. So this is a guy who's been around guns. He's been around crime, probably his whole life. He's been around violence. And frankly, he got what he deserved. I mean, how genuine was his anti-gun activism when he's still going around holding knives to people? I gotta think it's not very genuine. He's still a gangbanger. He's still a criminal, no doubt. He's still mixing with the wrong crowd to be getting shot. This is not an innocent man. He deserved what he got. The officers, or the officer, singular, would not have wanted to have been in this situation. The officer did the right thing, I'm sure. Well, I guess, but I'm confident that they would have followed protocol. They would have followed their training. And I hope the officer gets whatever assistance, whatever support they need, psychological, therapeutic, therapy, support, etc., etc. I'm going to say the officer did well. That's my take on it. But it is interesting. I do like covering these videos because they are exciting, of course. And, perhaps I enjoy some aspects more than I ought to. But they really do give an insight to these situations. And it's so much different to reading off an article when you can just see the immediacy, the urgency, the severity of these situations. It's quite shocking to see the officer shoot him 12 times from such point blank range. And yet he still held on to the knife. So I'm going to move on to the next article. After I read this one from Donna. Yeah, it's almost firsthand without the adrenaline and the fear. Yeah. Very close to being firsthand. And there's a number of cases like this, where there is very high quality police body cam footage, and it is very interesting. It does bring you in to the scene. It gives you a real insight as to what officers have to face. So to me, my take on it is, the officers have to face attacks on themselves, but also they genuinely want to protect the community. So they don't want to be standing by stabs a young woman in the face, in the head, kills her right in front of the police officer. They don't want that. The officer has a sense and reinforced by training to stop such attacks by using force. I got to question this guy here. I mean, why is he standing there right next to the girl? We don't know why. I mean, maybe he's an innocent party, or maybe he's a buddy of the knife man. We don't really know at this point. And there's a couple of other bystanders who chose not to engage. It's probably a good thing. I wouldn't be in a hurry to tackle somebody with a knife, as much as that might make me a coward. I wouldn't be in a hurry to. Yeah, here we go. Wonder what he was on. Yeah, that's probably what it's all about, isn't it? It's probably a drug-fueled attack. Yeah, don't know. Don't know what he would be on. Meth, I'd guess, but yeah, one of these drugs that make people completely irrational, completely unreasonable, completely violent. Yes, all right. So we're gonna move on from that one, and yeah, talking about drugs. Nice little segue there, Donna. Chicago man kills his drug dealer. Why? Well, because he put the prices up. Okay, so this man here is a murderer. He killed his drug dealer pal. He's been buying drugs from him for years or decades, even. They had an argument a little while back, a couple weeks back, and then they met up again so that he could buy some more drugs. And apparently, this guy, the killer, instigated a further argument and ambushed the drug dealer with a knife, killed him. So we'll look through the details. This guy is called Judson Taylor. He's 56 years of age, and he's confessed to police officers, to detectives, that the victim, Kelvin Perry, 37-year-old, was Judson Taylor's longtime drug dealer. And Judson was upset about the increase in prices of his favored drugs. So a few months back, there was a fight between the two, again, apparently in regards to the cost of the drugs. And this time there was an argument on October the 23rd around 1:30 a.m. The drug dealer, Kelvin Perry, arrived at the apartment of the murderer, Judson Taylor. They again embarked in another argument about the price of drugs, at which point Judson Taylor took out a knife that he was carrying for the purpose of stabbing Kelvin Perry. And he did stab Kelvin Perry both in the body and the neck. The drug dealer tried to escape, but the back door was padlocked. There was a scuffle. The drug dealer begged for his life, but he was stabbed at least 10 times and he died at the apartment on the kitchen floor. The killer then put the drug dealer's dead body in the freezer. So apparently they have a large freezer. He folded the body and put the body in the freezer. For the next several days, the killer would take the body out and he would work at cutting it into pieces. He used a pruning saw to cut the body and the head. The killer used a hatchet to cut off the arms. The hatchet broke. The killer used wire cutters to cut off the drug dealer's fingers. About a week and a half later, November the 2nd, the drug dealer's body was found by a sanitation worker. This part here confuses me. It seems to be saying that the sanitation worker found the body but didn't immediately report the finding of the body. He only reported the body 3 days later after he had found a further 2 severed arms, if I understand that correctly. Oh, no, maybe. No, after he started suffering breathing problems, after the sanitation worker started suffering breathing problems a few days after finding the body, that's when he decided to call police. Unless I'm misunderstanding that, that's my interpretation of what it means, which is bizarre. Can you imagine being a sanitation worker? You find a body and you don't report it to police. Oh, ho hum. Oh, there's another body. No worries. All right. Well, I'll get around to telling the police sooner or later. Maybe I've got that wrong. The drug dealer's torso was found by police in a dumpster behind the killer's building. They found his arms in an alley. There are several body parts yet to be found, including the drug dealer's head. So yeah, pretty grim. This guy here had an argument with his drug dealer, long-term drug dealer, stabbed him to death at least 10 times, put him in the freezer, then chopped him up using a hacksaw and some other tools, a hatchet. Sanitation worker found the body, decided not to report it for a few days. Crazy. Chicago. I am never going to be going to Chicago. No offense, Mark Klein. Yeah. Drugs. I wonder what kind of drugs they were. I mean, they were expensive drugs by the sound of it. Going to move on to this next article. This happened on Tuesday morning, and it does involve the death of a student in a high school in Seattle. So the school is called the Ingram High School in Seattle. There was a shooting on Tuesday, and one of the students died. It's believed that the student that was shot, it's believed that it was a targeted shooting, not a random shooting. A lot of these school shootings, I think I'm right in saying the shooters try to kill as many people, as many children, as many students as they possibly can. Anyone and everyone, pretty much. But in this case, it was one specific student that was targeted, or rather, that is what it's believed. Again, this happened Tuesday morning at Ingram High School in Seattle. Students described hearing 7 super loud bangs, and then everyone panicked. So different children ran into different classrooms. The teachers quickly became aware that there was an active shooter in the school. Everyone hid as best they could, but it seems there was no attempt to tackle the shooter. The shooter was apprehended about an hour after the shooting, a little way away, quite a way away, like a mile or two away. This seems to be an image of the shooter being arrested at a bus stop near the school, so not that far away. Apparently, the shooter had a gun in his backpack and he didn't resist arrest. The victim that was shot was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries, but they succumb to those injuries. So, of course, full condolences to the family concerned of the victim, and also to everyone else, all of the other students that are going to be traumatized by this situation. I guess one blessing is that it appears that it was a targeted shooting. Am I allowed to say that? So I'm just saying, my point is, I guess it's a blessing that it was just one victim, and not multiple, because all of the other school shootings that we hear, there are multiple victims. So I guess that can be considered a blessing. The male suspect was found an hour later after police were called. Witnesses said the suspect was arrested at a bus stop. He did not resist arrest, and that's all we know. So we don't know the name of the victim. We don't know the name of the shooter. But we do know that this happened Tuesday morning at the Ingram High School in Seattle at around in the morning. Did it say 10:30? And the shooter has been apprehended, arrested. They did not resist arrest. So an absolute tragedy. Absolute senseless tragedy. And there's been another tragedy in a medical examiner's office in Dallas County, and this happened Tuesday as well. So a medical examiner's office is, I believe I'm right in saying, a government building, and there's a lot of security within a medical examiner's office. There's a couple of articles, another article that I read through about this mentioned that it's a high security building. There's 2 victims. It seems to be a murder suicide. So it seems that an estranged husband went into the building. Perhaps they were let in the building by the ex-wife or the wife that they were in the midst of breaking up. And seemingly the estranged husband, whose name is James Frost, 51 years of age, shot his wife, or perhaps ex-wife, whose name is Beth Frost, 46 years of age, and then killed himself, shot himself. Another employee was injured. We don't really know too many details about the injuries of the other employee, but we do know that one of the employees, Beth Frost, was killed seemingly by her estranged husband, who seemingly then killed himself. So another senseless tragedy. This happened Tuesday, I believe. Oh, here we go. Around 4:45 p.m. Tuesday. So the other employee, by the look of it, has been shot. So we hope and we pray for their recovery. Full condolences to all of the families of the victims. We don't know if there's any children of these two. Seemingly they were husband and wife. They are both deceased. We don't know if there's any children. But full condolences to their extended family. So there we go. Shootings. We don't really have too many shootings in Australia. They do exist. They do happen. There's been a couple actually in Brisbane. There's been some armed robberies, some shootings. There's always, well, occasionally there's shootings in Sydney, but not like in America. So we're going to move on to the next article. I'm going to need to give you a trigger warning. The next articles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 articles, are all going to be very dark, and they're going to involve children. Yeah, so very dark. It's not going to be much fun, Donna. Going to go through them, and then we're going to end on a very sour, depressing note, I'm afraid. I don't have any chirpy articles to go through. So here's the first one. This little baby here is clinging to life with a fractured skull. So it was attacked by 2 dogs. The baby boy is known as Samaj, 7 months of age, from Washington, D.C. He was seriously injured on Thursday when 2 dogs attacked him. 2 pit bulls. There we go. Oh, hey, Newport Marina. I'm new here. That's good. Thank you for joining. 2 pit bulls, Newport Marina, attacked the 7-month-old baby in Washington, D.C. These bloody dog attacks. Yes, these bloody dog attacks. I'm not a dog hater. I'm not trying to besmirch dog owners or anything like that, but these are pretty serious topics. I think we've got to be honest about them. 2 pit bulls have attacked 7-month-old baby Samaj in Washington, D.C. on Thursday, and he suffered a fractured skull. He's undergone surgery as of Saturday. We don't have any further updates. There is a GoFundMe. They've exceeded their goal, so that's a good thing. But there is a GoFundMe if you guys wanted to consider donating for his recovery. He's 7 months old, and presumably he's going to need ongoing medical attention, ongoing surgery, I would have thought. We know a little bit about the backstory. A woman identified as the daughter of the dog's owner was also critically injured in the attack. So what we know is that the baby's mother left him with a caregiver. The baby's mother left the 7-month-old baby boy with a caregiver, someone that she knew and trusted by the sound of it. And then that person left the 7-month-old baby boy with somebody else. The caregiver stopped caring and they did something else. And then somebody else came in, and the mother doesn't know this somebody else, seemingly, or certainly the mother didn't know that this other person would be solely looking after, solely guarding, solely babysitting baby Samaj. And that is when the attack occurred. We don't know exactly what preceded the attack, why these two pit bulls attacked baby Samaj. We don't know why. I mean, what could the answer be? I mean, here's what I'm going to say. It's because the dogs are psychopaths. I mean, what could possibly have... The baby couldn't have done anything to instigate an attack. Yeah, we don't know what's happened to the dogs at this point. We don't know if the dogs are being put down, which I would think is I would think that the dogs would absolutely have to be put down straight away. Newport Marina says some are very jealous. The dogs are jealous. The dogs get jealous. Yeah, dogs do get jealous. Yeah. So you think maybe the person looking after the baby was perhaps attending to the baby, playing with the baby, and the two dogs got jealous. Why are you playing with this baby? Play with me. Yeah, you might well be right. I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? Just that little description makes sense. It's so terrible. Yeah, I mean, of course, as Donna says, hopefully he recovers fully. There is that GoFundMe, and yeah, I mean, such a terrible attack. Hopefully he recovers fully. Full condolences to the family. And I'm going to say I'm not a fan of pit bulls. I really am not a fan of pit bulls. I'm not a fan of these types of dogs. There are several breeds which just look, to me, way too scary and way too powerful. Seemingly, there's a certain proportion, which apparently is a very, very low proportion, percentage-wise, statistically speaking, a very low percentage of these certain breeds do, whatever the right term is, but they do get involved in extremely violent attacks on children, on babies, on adults, on other animals. It's a very low percentage, but seemingly it's enough for us to be able to see these articles, weekly, certainly. Couple of times a week, these types of articles come up. So unpredictable, yeah. And so unpredictable, so deadly. These attacks cause death and horrendous injuries. You know, that they literally, some of these attacks involve limbs being pulled off, bitten off, or have to be amputated by the doctors because they for whatever reason they're not able to be repaired, or whatever the right term is, healed. Yeah, I mean, yeah, not just a nip. That's right. Like your dog on Newport Marina, on your avatar, you've got can't really quite make it out. It's too small, but it's a mid-sized dog in your avatar, a nice little cutie mid-sized dog. Is that literally your own dog? And that type of dog might nip you, it might bite you, but what are you going to do if you're an adult? If you get bitten by a mid-sized dog, You just punch it in the face, or you wrestle it. You're going to be able to get out of being attacked by a mid-sized dog. I'm not afraid of mid-sized dogs. I'll take them on. I'll beat them up. No problems if I need to. But these pit bulls and other dogs of similar breeds, they're just too powerful. Their jaws do not give. You can't do anything, and they're vicious as well. They go for your throat, and they go for your testicles. They go for your genitals. I believe. Yeah, a 70-pound Labrador Retriever, 8 years old, never bit anyone. Yes. Yeah, I used to have a. Oh, there we go. That looks bigger there. I used to have a Golden Retriever, and yeah, that was the sweetest dog ever. Never bit anyone. Would only occasionally growl. Even the sweetheart dogs. I don't know why people just can't have nice little dogs. Or nice mid-sized dogs. Why do they have to go for these breeds? I don't get it personally. But anyhow, again, full condolences to the family, and we pray that Samaj does make a full recovery. Yeah, so they say in the GoFundMe, we're extremely overwhelmed and have never dealt with a situation to this magnitude before. I pray that this post is sufficient and articulated well enough to reach someone that can help with our uphill battle. The infant has gone through several CT scans and has a fractured skull due to his injuries sustained by the dog attack. Thank you in advance. And it does look like at least one person's given a particularly generous donation. So that's great. I like that. It's a very modest goal as well. Some of these GoFundMes, the goals are incredibly high. I would think that's a little bit too low for, when there's medical bills incurred in America. This happened in Washington, D.C., then I don't know. I mean, those bills spiral very quickly. So we're going to move on. Oh, I need to tell you, Newport Marina, thank you very much for joining, by the way. The remaining articles are going to be grim, dark, and depressing, and there's not going to be any cheeriness at the end. All right. So once you finish watching this, go and watch some puppy dog videos on TikTok or kitten videos if you prefer, or do something just to alleviate your mood, because it's going to get pretty dark. So this is in regards to an 8-year-old girl who was rescued from her home in Germany, and she was been living with her mother and the grandmother, I believe. Yeah, grandparents. And she hadn't been left outside. She hadn't been let outside of the house almost her entire life, 8 years of age. Now, she wasn't suffering malnourishment. She wasn't being tortured. She just wasn't allowed outside of the house. The father of the child was told, I believe, when the child was just a few months old, the father was told that the mother had taken the child to Italy. They'd gone overseas to live. So the father really wasn't in the child's life. He wanted to be, to some extent at least. He would send the girl presents, but all of the presents that he sent to the Italian address that he was provided, they'd all be returned unopened. At some point, the father saw the mother in the town, in this German town, saw her around 2 or 3 times. So there was a lot of suspicion as to whether or not the mother and the child were in Italy. And it turns out that they never were in Italy. It turns out that the mother raised the child at the home with the grandparents, and the girl never went outside for almost all of her life. And with that, she's suffering really physical strength by the look of it. She can't walk up any slope. She can't even walk upstairs. So she says that she's never seen a forest, she's never seen a meadow, she's never ridden in a car. Uh, um, so she was rescued September the 23rd of this year. She's in relatively good health. She wasn't malnourished at all, but she was denied being able to go out and play or go out and do anything for her entire life. The mother and the grandparents have been put under a formal investigation. Um, and apparently, neither of them are cooperating. The mother and the grandparents aren't cooperating with the police, with the authorities. And that's pretty much all we know. So they're being charged with illegal deprivation of liberty and abuse. Other family acquaintances are being questioned because seemingly this is like a normal family home. It looks like a quite a nice house. This is in a small German town called Attendorn, about 20 miles east of Cologne. It's kind of a normal residential house by the look of it. So they would have had neighbors, they would have had, friends, other family members, and everyone's kept this quiet. Donna's ran off to get apple pie. Okay, cool. Is that a Macca's run? Is it? Um, Newport Marina is in a time zone where it's nearly 3 a.m. So you're in America, Newport. Um, so there we go. So that we hope the girl makes a full recovery. We hope the father's able to get more involved in the girl's life if that's something that both of them want. The girl will be undergoing a mental evaluation as well as a physical evaluation, and the parents, the mother and the grandparents, may also have psychological evaluations because you must question whether or not the mother and the grandparents are psychologically healthy. There's a good chance that they're not. Central Oregon coast. Oh, very nice. A beautiful country, beautiful nature in that area, I believe. Seen some lovely photos. Okay. All right. So we're going to go through this other article, and it is, I don't know, it's kind of similar in a couple of different ways to the pit bull attack. So again, with Samaj, the mother left Samaj with a caregiver, and then that caregiver decided to leave the baby with somebody else entirely at the point that a dog attack occurred. And that's kind of similar in this situation. A man that was meant to be looking after a 9-week-old boy whilst the child's mother attended a funeral has been jailed after the child ingested cocaine. He's been sentenced to 18 months in prison. There's nowhere near enough. The baby stopped breathing, but thankfully did recover after receiving CPR for 15 minutes. So we're going to look through quite a bit of the details. Here's the guy here. Go Wheeler, 30 years of age, from Perthshire, Scotland. Looking after a friend's 9-week-old baby, he thought it would be a good idea to snort some cocaine, which apparently the baby was exposed to and led the baby to stop breathing. Thankfully, the baby was saved. Go Wheeler, 30 years of age, from Blair Gowrie in Perthshire, Scotland, was jailed for a measly 18 months after the baby was exposed to Class A drugs whilst in his care and almost died. He pled guilty to culpably and recklessly causing the baby to ingest cocaine to the danger of his life. This happened in December 2020. So the mother was attending a funeral. He stepped in to look after the 9-week-old baby. He invited a friend around. They both took 2 lines of coke each. And somehow the child was able to ingest or came into contact with this cocaine, the baby was constantly crying. His heart was beating faster than normal. He was refusing to feed. Thankfully, the baby was taken to a medical center. So I don't know if it was Go Wheeler that took the baby to the medical center. That part isn't described adequately. But at the medical center, the professionals there were able to give the baby CPR for 15 minutes and thankfully revive him. We're told that the child has recovered. I suppose that means has made a full recovery. So that's great that the child has made a full recovery, but I'm pretty disgusted, to be honest. Yeah, 18 months. 18 months jail. I mean, that's just pathetic, isn't it? 18 months jail. You get 18 months jail for parking tickets. 18 months jail for drinking too much. I don't know. Urinating in public. 18 months jail. So he's exposed an infant, a 9-week-old baby, to cocaine to the point that the baby stopped breathing, only continued to live out of, I gotta say, sheer luck. The baby had angels looking after it, looking over it. So a 9-week baby boy looking over him. 18 months in jail. It's pathetic. This is what happens. Well, I kind of disagree with Newport. I mean, well, you might well be right about just probation there. That would be terrible if that's the case. Yeah, you might well be right. We went over that article the other day, didn't we, Donna? We went over that article where this woman here, where did this happen? This happened in New York, where this woman was in her SUV, her car, and then a homeless man who was on the sidewalk trying to sleep approached her in the vehicle and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, I know I'm a lowly little wretch lying here on the street, destitute, hungry, homeless. Do you mind turning off your car engine because your exhaust fumes are blowing into my face and I'm trying to sleep? Do you mind turning off your very loud music because once more I'm trying to sleep?" What did the woman do, Katie Quackenbush? She got out of her car, shot the homeless person twice in the abdomen. Thankfully, the homeless man survived. And what punishment did she get? Probation. Not even 12 months probation, 11 months, 29 days of supervised probation. I mean, that is so ridiculous. It's disgusting. So, yeah. But I will say in England, I mean, this is in Scotland. I've not read through too many true crime articles where the crime's taken place in Scotland. But in England, a lot of the crimes, very, very heinous crimes, child murders, the convicted get very well. They even if they get life in jail, and not all of them will. Some of them will get 20 years, 25 years for murdering children. But even if they get life in jail, they still have access to parole. And it disgusts me. A lot of the paroles are like after 8 years, 10 years, 12 years. It's disgusting. The sentences in England are often pathetic, but this one, 18 months. What is the reasoning? Oh, don't worry about it, mate. Oh, these things happen. No, it's not a big deal. I mean, a baby nearly died because you were using illegal drugs. But that's fine, not a problem. Don't worry about it, mate. 18 months. You'll probably be out in half of that. short stint, and then life carries on. It's disgusting. So I guess the blessing is that the baby survived, the 9-week-old baby. Yes, misentitled, that New York woman. All right, so we're going to move on to this next subject, which is very sad. It involves this girl here, Arabella McCormack, 11 years of age. She died August the 30th in a child abuse case. We'll look through the details. This happened in San Diego. 3 family members have been accused in the death of an 11-year-old Spring Valley girl. They've each pleaded not guilty on Wednesday to charges including child abuse and torture. Letitia McCormack, 49 years of age, and her parents, Adela and Stanley Tom, abused and tortured McCormack's 3 daughters for about 5.5 years, leading up to the death of one of the girls, Arabella, in late August. The scumbags have been charged in relation to Arabella's death. That is, Letitia McCormack and her father have been charged in regards to the murder of Arabella's death. The mother and the mother and the grandfather each face 25 years to life in prison, plus 2 life terms if convicted. The grandmother faces 2 life terms in prison if convicted. Arabella's sister, aged 6 and 7, survived the abuse that they face, and thankfully they've both been placed with a foster home, with a foster family. The mother and her husband became foster parents to the girls in 2017, and the couple adopted them 2 years later. Arabella was pulled out of school after the girls were adopted. All 3 girls were homeschooled. Now, here's another twist to the situation, to this case. When sheriff's deputies arrived at the premises on August the 30th, responding to a call around 2 a.m. about a child in distress, and that child was Arabella. Arabella was taken to hospital, and tragically she died. The girl's father shot and killed himself the same day. So it's a bit confusing as to why the girl's father shot and killed himself. But he drove up to the crime scene. He drove up to the home where Arabella lived, and he shot and killed himself. He was a 19-year veteran of the Border Patrol. We don't know whether or not Arabella's father was involved in the child abuse. We don't know. Okay, so I've kind of been misspeaking. So I've been saying that Letitia McCormack is the mother. She's not the mother. She's the adoptive mother. And I'm not sure if the father is the adoptive father. That would make more sense to me. I mean, that makes sense if it was the adoptive father. Here's a picture of the biological mother of Arabella, as well as the other 2 children. So again, the other 2 children, hang on, maybe I've got confused, because maybe I'm getting a little bit confused by this article. Yeah, this is the biological mother of the 3 children, and she lost custody of the 3 children because of a domestic violence dispute with their father. and she also suffers from bipolar disorder. So apparently she wasn't previously fit to be a mother. That may have changed now. She's older, she's more mature. I don't know. But apparently she's hoping to regain guardianship of the 2 remaining children, custody. Whether or not that's a good idea, I really don't know. I don't think I've read through this article particularly well, so apologies for that. But it is a tragedy. Arabella McCormack, 11 years of age, died August 30th in a child abuse case, seemingly at the hands of an adoptive mother and the adoptive grandparents. 2 other children were also abused, aged 6 and 7, but thankfully they've been rescued and taken out of the family home. So yeah, this prayers for the fallen angel, the innocent Arabella McCormack. Full condolences to the biological mother. Again, the father that killed themselves, I'm not 100% sure if that's the biological father or the adoptive father. It makes sense that it would be the adoptive father. And we just hope that justice takes its course and that the adoptive mother and the adoptive grandparents get the justice that they need. So I think this is going to be, oh no, yeah, and there's another picture of Arabella. There's another picture of her. So it's terrible. And I think that's all I've got for today. So I did warn you all that it's all going to be very depressing subjects. Almost all of the topics that I go over are depressing. It's crime. It involves murder. It involves torture, as well as, tragedies, other things along these lines. So it's pretty grim, which is a bit of a shame because I'm actually quite a fun person. I do like fun, and I want more fun in my life. But it's pretty hard to do fun things covering these topics, and I've not been able to find a bright article to go over. I will in my future live streams. Going to try to bring 1 or 2 brighter articles towards the end so that we can all leave on a bit of a happier note, which unfortunately we're not going to do today. We're going to end on this depressing note. So thank you, Donna, for being here for much of the live stream. Thank you very much. Hopefully you've enjoyed your apple pie, which if I were to have the apple pie, I would have it with vanilla ice cream. That is really the only way to have apple pie, to be honest with you. And thank you, Newport, for introducing yourself as well as your Labrador retriever mix. Thank you for the updates. Have a good night. Oh yes, thank you. And I'll be making some videos tomorrow. I'm going to probably do live streams every other night, something like that. Not every night, but every 2 or 3 nights. And I will drop links in my Twitter feed because I'm most popular people on Twitter by all accounts. Things up here, guys. Thank you and take care. Thanks.